Hello and welcome to the Inner Gamer On. My name is Brett Yanofsky.
I'm Devin Duree.
I'm Austin Morales.
Who
Hey,
the
Devin's back.
hell is this guy?
What?
He's back.
What?
If you haven't listened to the
It's been
podcast,
a while since I've sat here.
yeah.
I know, it's awesome. It's cool.
Been a minute.
We gotta get closer.
For
been
those just
a
watching this
minute.
video or the segment, he's back.
He's back.
Back again.
Yeah, back in black.
Tell a friend.
All right, we've had
Okay.
enough of you. Get out.
All right.
All right, that's enough. Get the hell out of here.
So today's discussion topic is going to be one that Devin brought along to share with us, and I am going to let him explain it because I
Oh,
think
man.
he'll do a better job than I would.
Will he?
That's fair.
Yeah,
I explain most things better than you.
said no one ever.
Said everyone ever. So our discussion topic today came from an observation I had when when we normally prepare these episodes, we try to think of things that we've either been playing or things we've noticed in the industry. Mine was really an observation that I had when the most recent games I've been playing are God of War and Octopath Traveler. So with that being the case, these are two franchises that are very well known. They've been around for a while.
Well,
Well, not Octopath
Yeah,
Traveler.
yeah.
That
Square series.
that development company
Right,
has
right,
been
right,
around
right.
for a long time.
yes.
And then God of War has been out since the PS2. So while both of these are very well known, either franchises or development companies, something that I noticed was that God of War 3, while a very good game, was something that was not exactly what I would call fantastic or outstanding. It was something that I was very ho-hum about.
Yeah.
A great game, not a fantastic, outrageous, perfect game. Not the ending that I thought it deserved. Well, then we move to a complete departure from what that series was, and we get this new God of War where we've completely abandoned the Greek pantheon. We are now moving on to the Norse pantheon. And we go from a different combat style completely from the panned out camera as you watch Kratos fly through waves and waves and waves of enemies to now this third person over the shoulder, very slower, methodic, calculated things happening with Kratos and his fight against enemies. And I was like, yeah, I was thinking this is different. This is something different that we've seen in the franchise. This is very cool. I like this. I love this. I'm loving this game. It's wonderful. I love the story. I love the characters. I love the mad, bad, sad, rad dad that has become Kratos. And then I, again, on that trail of thoughts that I was having with it, I went over to Octopath Traveler, which is a return to the old Square Enix, which at the time was Square Soft, and Final
Right.
Fantasy, and how it was all turn-based, and it was you have enemies on one side and the characters on the other, and it's not this new Final Fantasy stuff where it was all free-form and real-time and things happening and big flashy stuff on the screen. This one was very a return to the old formula. So I got to thinking about that, and it made me think of the question for game developers: should they be taking risks or going back to basics?
Yep.
Interesting dichotomy.
Yeah. And I think also the addition to this question can even be, are these things that can coexist,
Right,
in some capacity?
right.
Because, going back to basics can also be a risk if you are so far forward. And I think Octopath is a good example of that because
Absolutely.
they have been so far into the real-time fighting combat style, fast-paced action, all that stuff, huge 3D graphics, epic visuals, and all this stuff. And then it's like, here's Octopath Traveler that is a pixel art game.
Yeah, high pixel art, a slightly skewed view, because I can't call it two-dimensional because it's not.
2.5D.
2.5D. All right.
Yeah,
I like that.
That works.
Is
I
it
like
really?
that.
Okay.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I don't know. I like the idea of like taking these two extremes, I guess you can call that, and like finding this middle ground, which is like you were saying, that line that they have to cross, but it's that line in the middle that like ties them all together. It's taking Octopath Traveler, putting that old spin on it with the new flair, and it brings it back to like a place where more people are able to latch on to
Identify
it and
with it.
experience
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then obviously God of War, great game, huge following. Now it could tell a deeper, it is a darker story.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh yeah.
it's dark, but I don't know if it's darker than the other one.
There's more dark tones told in this story with Kratos.
So now a new audience can pick it up. It's easier to get into, but fans, well, I would say most fans probably can enjoy this just as much as the old games. I'm sure that's not everybody, obviously.
Well, and I going back between the two of them, and you think about these developers, and you talk about that line that we have to cross. Like, where is it? Is it a clearly visible line that we start toting when we're thinking about some of the games that we've been playing or the games that have been being made? And it's like, is the development team smart enough to know that it needs to start either taking risks or going back to basics? And will their publishers allow them to do so?
Yeah.
In a way, because if we think, I mean, we bash on them a lot, and I will continue to do so right now. EA will not. EA is vanilla, and they will remain vanilla. They do not want any other flavors other than vanilla. And if you tried to give them anything other than vanilla, they will say, no, that's not vanilla enough. Go vanilla that shit up right now.
I think it's vanilla with like little balls of Tabasco sauce.
And
you lick it and you're like, fuck.
That's a slide against vanilla, because I really like vanilla. I would say that they are the bran flakes. Flakes. Stale, left out bran flakes.
Poor EA.
Insert Brian Flakes.
Insert brand flakes here. Yeah.
But if we want to dive into it a little bit here, I mean, let's look at these games. Let's just look at the two that I just mentioned right now. From a taking risks standpoint, we have God of War. God of War has always just been the hacky slashing, quick time events. You're going to beat up a bunch of enemies, and then when the big one comes on screen, you're going to do the quick time event to take that big bad enemy out and then move on to the next thing.
Right.
Yeah, there was some level up components. Yes, there was some things that you were like, okay, you can get these higher bits of health. You can upgrade your weapons a bit. You can use these new tools like the Golden Fleece for parrying and that kind of stuff. But it all pretty much stayed the same. And it was very good. God of War 1 and 2 still some of my favorite games of all time. Gosh, I'm trying to remember when God of War 1 came out.
Oh, March 22nd, 2005.
Good Lord. Okay. So, yeah. A long time ago.
Yes.
But
Indeed.
But as you know, we get to God of War 2 and some ingenuity stuff happened, but we've got to God of War 3, and it was kind of getting stale with how it started to play.
Well, and also think of how much like gaming has changed since then. Like back then, it was like a good game had a so-so story, but engaging combat that was just like really full of action. And then in the industry itself, you started seeing more open world and more exploration and more advanced combat mechanics and stuff. Like when did Dark Souls come out before or after God of War 1?
After.
Okay. Yeah. So then you got Dark Souls, which, like create a whole genre in itself.
Yep.
So it's like, well, how do you compete against that? You gotta, at some point you have to pivot, or else you get stuck in a rut where you are Call of Duty that hasn't changed but still makes millions of dollars. Yeah. But it's because they have built a fan base of people that this is what they play. But
I think it's interesting you use that term pivot, because that is something that a lot of developers will do. If they're making a game series, then they've got to pivot. They've got to tweak some things. We've got to move around a little bit, shake things up, change the combat this way, tweak our enemies this way, make the story a little bit more about this thing, and as opposed to this thing that we were kind of moving towards. So it's pivoting is important, and kind of morphing and changing and evolving with your franchise is important, but sometimes it can be too much.
Yeah.
Be a lot. I mean, to be perfectly honest, It's why I haven't played a whole lot of the Assassin's Creed games. First one was just boring as all hell, and I just could not get into it. And it was so repetitious with the same crap I was doing over and over.
It's like,
and then
here's the formula that you follow for
literally
the next 2 hours.
Literally. And then the next 2 games that came out, I never got a chance to play them because I was so bored with the first. And then I saw all this new crap being thrown in there. I was like, this isn't even the same game anymore. Why? What happened?
There was an era in just gaming in general where just like shove as much as you can into this game.
Yeah.
I don't know, I still like that. I still feel like that era is still there. It's
Oh,
like,
it is.
They're totally
But
like pushing
but
that
that
stuff.
has kind of changed
Yeah.
to the loot box
That's true.
thing now.
A lot of that stuff come into play. Yeah, I think Assassin's Creed did something with that because they had that first game, like you said, was kind of garbage. Like it was the story. I kept playing because the story was so good. Then they brought out the Ezio trilogy, and that was like really, really solid because the characters were compelling. The storyline was really, really engaging, and the whole Templar, introduction with the future impact. Like I hated the what's the guy's name that you played as in the modern day.
Oh, what's his
Connor?
No, Connor was
fuck, it was just right on the tip of
lead
my
character of Assassin's Creed 3. Whatever his name was. He was very bland and boring. But then they started dropping that off and just focusing more so on the past. But then they were like, let's actually do something. Let's take a risk, and they didn't bring it. Desmond.
Oh,
There you go.
Desmond. That's right. Desmond.
Yeah.
Desmond.
So they
Fucking Desmond.
So they they didn't bring out a game for 2 years, which for them is unheard of.
Right.
And decided to scrap that formula and figure out how to really change it up quite a bit, and gave their development team 3 years to make something new. And it still had a lot of the features of the first one of the series, but it was larger world.
Yeah.
It was a completely different combat style. There was a progression system. There was combos that wasn't just you being this guy that was, just hack and slash throughout Arkham Asylum style. It was, you had to actually plan out your attacks and stuff like that. And it worked out for them. I mean, that was a big risk that they took.
Yeah, someone who wasn't going to play Assassin's Creed Odyssey, or not Odyssey. Wait, the
Origins.
Origins.
I kept saying Odyssey.
I was
but
like,
yeah,
wait,
it's Origins.
Odyssey,
That's
no.
what it was.
Yeah, I was already done with. I was like, you know what? I'm done with this franchise. I'm sick of it. I don't want to play anymore. But I happened to get the code, and I'm so happy I did because it did. It just changed everything. That they listen to the community, which is a big thing. Which is kind of weird if you think about it, because studios listen to communities, but they don't always listen to the communities.
Right.
We'll hear you.
Well,
we're not gonna do anything about
it's
it.
Either they hear it and they try to do what they think we want, and then it's
we're gonna do what we think you want, not what you say.
I think we understand what you're saying. I think we understand what you're saying.
Loot boxes, star cards, money.
Yeah. Oh, that's a headache.
Anyway,
that's
but yeah,
a headache in its own right. But
I took a risk jumping into Origins,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
really pulled it off,
Yeah.
in a big way. Yeah, I know we kind of talk about how these giant open worlds are getting too big, but this worked because it's a new land. I don't know any other game where we've seen Egypt like this,
Yeah.
taking that risk to
Yeah.
do that in such a big way. And I mean, you could tell they funneled money into this.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't miss a step going from the last game to Origins, and it paid off big for them. Because
Yeah.
I would do an Odyssey, which is probably going to be the exact same thing, and they're adding on to it
yeah.
with you can pick.
But in Greece,
Wait, there's dialogue choices, and you can
Yeah.
pick 2 different characters. I think that's big, and that's a good way for them to go. Man, that's another risk.
That's a good risk, and it's a good morph and evolution that the game can take
Right.
to be more accessible and be more enjoyable for its players.
Right.
yeah. Another example of the back to basics idea was when Machine Games got picked up by Bethesda, and they got offered the ability to work on the Wolfenstein franchise. And
Oh,
was like,
man.
hey, do you guys want to work on
Man.
this game?
Yeah.
And they looked at how to approach that, and they were like, oh, hell yeah, we want to do this.
Hell yeah, we want to do
And
that.
they built a very raw, simple, back to the basics shooter that was just bonkers crazy. It's just you walk in a room, you start shooting a bunch of Nazis, killing Nazis, and going crazy, and you had to pick up health packs. Who does that anymore? And like that was
Health packs.
that was really, really interesting.
I thought I'd just have to wait behind the wall while the red
Yeah.
goes away eventually.
Man, when Call of Duty introduced that, I was so mad. So mad.
Yeah.
I was like, this is some baloney.
I can be shot 50 times and yet somehow live.
Yep.
As long as I pace out my breathing between those shots. Oh, okay. All right. That gunshot
good
went away.
again.
All right. Woo. All right. Let's get back into it, guys.
All you need is oxygen.
You just got shot 6 times in the spine. I'm good, man. Walked it off.
I walked it off.
Walked it off.
My
Yeah.
problem was I was running. Now I'm walking. Good.
Yeah. See, I'm good now.
That was another good game. Like I thought nothing of it, and I jumped in it, and I was like, damn, like I never would have thought going back to those old mechanics would be so fun.
Yeah.
And it makes you reminds you like,
refreshing,
yeah. Reminds
such
you
a
like how
change.
great that was.
Yeah.
And now that everything's changed so much, it's good to see Wolfenstein still does that.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, now it's a little jarring. I feel like even at this point to do the whole health pack stuff.
Right.
I guess not so much on PUBG, but it's a different
Yeah.
story.
Well, just games sticking with that kind of methodology of still keeping with their formulas. A lot of puzzle platformers or platformers in general all have health still in them. Owlboy, you've got Mega Man, Castlevania, any of these platformer kind of games, Mario, there's health involved, and you've got to maintain that. And games that have gone away from that, or when games depart from that, that's a huge friggin' risk involved. And I think that is a perfect example of a development company doing that. Not all shooters
Right.
needed to take that risk and depart from getting away from health packs because it became just bananas and very unbelievable, and it just became more and more absurd. And now now here we are
Here we are.
with more Call of Duty, boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground. And now they're going back to not boots on the ground with Call of Duty Black Ops 4. And
Back in space, mech suits,
for
wall
them,
running.
Like for Call of Duty, though, they are kind of taking a risk in that they cut out single player.
I fucking hate that.
They eliminated single player and they're introducing freaking Battle Royale to their thing.
Oh, another battle royale game,
But it's called Blackout.
Shut the fuck up. Good
Blackout.
Lord.
It looks pretty
So
sweet.
how much of this is our fault? Like gamers. Just think about
none
it.
of it.
I mean, because like I get what you're saying here.
We don't want things to get stale. But
Correct.
they're like,
However,
oh, okay. But then
here's
they overshoot
no,
it.
here's
right?
the thing. It's again, I don't know why I'm using food as an analogy, but here we are.
Overcooked is coming out.
Overcooked 2 is coming out.
There it is.
But if we're trying something new, it doesn't mean that I want you to flood the market with it. When with PUBG it was like, oh man, Battle Royale. Man, that's really fun. What a fun, unique way to do something. And then everybody now wants to get in on it. Now it's nothing but PUBG and Fortnite.
Yeah, when the commercial companies start getting involved, then it's run its course and it's getting stale.
I read that there is even Fortnite channels on every social media, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and what the hell ever else, of just stuff that doesn't even really have it's a third degree Fortnite reference. It's like, oh, here's today's Fortnite memes. Why? What happened?
Yeah, it's hard to sift through news now because of the fact that Fortnite's there all the time. And Fortnite is an example of a game that took a risk because they pivoted from Save the World, which is what that entire game was based around.
That wasn't
It was
just a
gonna be
pivot. That was a complete ankle breaking.
Yeah. They were going to be PvE, and that
Yeah.
was like the whole idea.
Yeah.
4-player co-op.
Build
PvE.
up your fortress,
And
fend
yeah.
off the zombies, you and all these people.
And they brought it out, and people were like, this is too confusing. It's complex.
Yeah,
it's
this is a lot.
bonkers. We
There's a
can't
lot
do this
going on
anymore."
here.
It's like, okay, well, let's like put our development team and spend 2 months and make Battle Royale. And now when people think of Fortnite, like Save the World is not even what they think about. It's
No.
Battle Royale. Like that's what Fortnite is.
Fortnite
to
is
everybody.
immediately associated with who's streaming it, what's the Battle Royale look like, who's making money off of playing Fortnite right now. It's so commercialized. It's ridiculous. I feel so hipster saying commercialized here. But
I mean, it is. It's
It is.
become
It's
this
very,
great
very
success.
commercialized.
And
Now people are doing the emotes in real life. That's like
Yeah.
dances are being formed from like
Well, there
Like,
we have gone beyond parodying ourselves. We are so far beyond that.
Yep.
Well, it's kind of funny because talking about where the line is, like I feel like the trends that people are following now just take that line and just fuck it up. They just like they get it and they shake it and be like, fuck this line.
Yeah.
They're like, we're gonna go this way and then we're gonna go this way. So like I feel like we're hopping this line constantly now with each iteration of these games that come out. And it's just like,
well, and
can you find like no one wants to find that balance. They just want to ride that wave, and obviously money's a big deal.
well,
so
and
it's just like
money's a big deal, but I think that's also it's like, do you fine tune or do you change the game completely?
right.
Because that's a question you have to ask. Going back to Octopath Traveler, that's a complete change. Final Fantasies up to this point have now been all real time. It's highly engaging. There's high intensity. It's very realistic. You've got all these like very stylized characters with, of course, Final Fantasy hair, which means it points in 18 different directions, and it's some people's hair color like changes in the sunlight and whatever else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out, and I don't know what it was. I don't know what the catalyst was, but just thank God Square Enix was like, you know what? Stop. Pump the brakes. We need to remember where it was we came from. We need to remember what it was we were doing, and let's get back and make a game that these people remember that this is the reason why they love us. And it is. Octopath Traveler is a fucking masterpiece. Is it perfect? No, but damn close to in my opinion.
It makes sense to do it for this game, but I think any other game, it would be a huge risk to do that. Like God of War, huge risk.
Yeah.
It's easier to ride these trends. And beat them to death and then someone else comes out with a different trend and you follow that.
Well, and it's interesting you said that because that just kind of got me thinking about some of the other reasons why we now have this literal subgenre called Souls-like.
Oh
Yes.
How many Souls-like games do you know of right now?
Like all of them.
There's so many.
God of War.
Souls-like, Metroidvania style
The
games.
Metroidvania games,
that's a huge thing.
Those are all.
It's
Yeah, those have
crazy.
made huge comebacks for some reason.
And that's
Well,
these
my
things
Souls.
like these developers are now coming out to do these. And I don't want to say that I'm against going with what's popular because that's kind of how some teams get popular. I mean, Rocksteady doing the first Batman Arkham Asylum, game changing. It's how we got the Shadows of Mordor now.
Create a trend.
Now
it's a staple.
But now I feel like we're getting a little oversaturated with this. How hard is this game where you die after 2 hits, but you get flooded by enemies and you're playing Dark Souls with a 2-dimensional black and white thing now.
Yeah.
So that's what you're
cool.
playing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's just Dark Souls. It's all Dark Souls.
Let's talk for a second about games that should pivot, take a risk, or go back to the basics and look at what those can be. I'm going to start with the Telltale games.
Oh my God.
They badly need to not go back to the basics.
No,
they need to take
you
a
are
risk.
stuck in the basics.
They need to figure out how to revitalize that formula.
I think Telltale's problem right now is that I feel like they're trying to stick too close to like I don't know.
Tell too many tales.
Can I hit him?
Yeah, go for it.
No.
Just put a black thing right here where you hit him.
Anyway,
No, like Telltale's gotten to this thing where it's like it's trying to be like we're a company that's telling stories. Okay, I get that. You can tell them in other ways. You can do it differently. You don't always have to sit there and give me the dialogue box of 4 choices and then the time running out the bottom with the character staring at you blankly. Say something.
or say nothing.
So and so will remember that.
Yes.
Because they've got what? They've got Walking Dead. They did Tales from the Borderlands. They did the
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Fables. They did
Batman.
So
Game of Thrones.
counting 9 right now. They've gone through 9 games. There's probably more. I'm about to count right now.
Early
all of
on, they
them-
did Back to the Future.
And all of them are the same.
Oh, here we go. Holy
Yep.
shit. Okay.
Yep, it was pretty bad. I was not happy about that, and that's that. They should take a page out of Quantic Dream's book and
Okay, like 11 or
try
12
that formula.
at the same like formula
Yeah,
they've been doing. Probably a little
yeah.
more.
And you try
Break out of that box, man.
Yeah.
Give me something different. Give me a different way that I can conduct dialogue with one of the characters that I'm engaging in. Give me something else besides I will walk around this room now and pick up these varying things that are highlighted that I can now interact with.
Well, if nothing
Do it
else, too,
differently.
like prove to people that you are more than just a story that can turn out these things, or more than a studio that can turn out
Yeah.
this same concept
Yeah.
and formula. I mean, that's what the guys that did Killzone did. Like they went and made freaking
Man.
Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a complete 180.
That is a departure.
That's a huge departure.
What did you guys do before? FPSs? Don't do that anymore. Don't do your linear FPS anymore. We want you to do this open world adventure third person bow hunting game.
Yeah, yeah.
Go on.
Okay.
Which is awesome, and
Nailed
it was
it.
a huge success. I
Nailed
was
it.
like, okay, that's perfect. That's what you need to do. EA, obviously, every EA game, just insert name here. That's what
Yes.
you need to do.
Yes.
Like every year,
Yes.
they bring out Madden and NFL or
Depart.
NHL,
Depart.
and NBA, and then they bring out Need for Speed. That
That
never
is
changes.
EA, and they will never do anything to change that ever.
yep.
As long as
No.
it brings in money, they're fine.
EA's a lost cause until they have something drastic happen to them. They're a lost cause. That's just nothing's going to change there. We're always going to get FIFA, Madden, NHL, whatever the basketball, all of it. It's just going to be the
All of it.
same all the time, forever
All
until the end of eternity.
Oh, great.
That sucks.
Well,
Sad day. So, any other franchises, games you can think of that like drastically need to do some kind of pivot change? That like getting stale. It's just like, why is this still here? I mean, Call of Duty is
Mass
one, but
Effect.
oh, they're done now.
They're done.
We got
Maybe
Anthem.
Pokemon. That'd be interesting to see a new change. But I mean, I guess they've kind of had some changes over time. I haven't really
Pokemon
played a
needs
lot
to
of
change
Pokemon.
and not be like, we've added 50 more.
Yeah.
Stop.
I agree.
All you
I
did was
think-
add legs to a toaster. That's it. That's all you've done.
Chandelier can now.
Toastimon.
Sure, it's not Digimon.
You should be hired.
don't-
You could-
I get an email.
We laid
Do you
off
want to come
your
help us
job.
name some new Pokemon?
I think most of the games that I would want to be changed just need to like refine a few things, like Far Cry. I think they just need a better story.
Far
Maybe
Cry just needs it. They need a rehaul.
Well,
Actually,
and
I think.
I think
Yeah.
that comes from not the game, but that comes from the dev company.
right.
And that
Ubisoft.
Ubisoft, man, what kills me about it is they come up with great concepts, but they just don't want to take the risk to really deliver on it. And that's always going to be something that I feel about that company is good ideas, half-hearted
You're
executions.
there, but
You're
not
so
quite
like
there.
you're so close. Ubisoft, you are so close to a blockbuster release. You really are. Just all these things that you've thought up. It's just you're so close. Just really give it something extra. Give it the extra attention that it deserves to like whether it's the gameplay or the story or like where the focus is. Just give it the attention that it needs.
And they do have 10 plus studios around the world, so surely they can make that happen.
I mean, did they all get drunk on like the big day that they're supposed to like create something amazing? Just
No,
like,
no. You know
we
what's
did it.
happening? They're too busy spending time developing the next year's dance number for E3. That's what's happening.
That is what's happening.
You gotta
like,
plan
guys,
that shit
what are we gonna do
out.
next year? Let's
That
spend this whole
that
year.
Takes a year. That's a
I
studio.
think
in
next year we
itself
should do the
developing
cha-cha slide.
Better get on that now.
that. Oh man, yeah.
I am very pleased with my company of From Software, but I am even more pleased at the fact that they have been very open with their ideas of like we are going to be doing a return to form of some of our old IPs, as well as doing new IPs such as Shadows Die Twice, which is a Samurai Souls like. So that's a Souls like I can get behind because they are the ones who make Souls games.
Yes.
Not surprised.
So it's not really a
for
Souls
you.
like. It's a
Good for you.
Souls game.
Okay,
That's
sure.
here.
Anyway.
Yeah. So
Great,
I think the moral of the story here is that I wish we could see more developers look at their legacy, whatever it might be, and not be afraid to pivot and change in some way to better their games. Because I mean, I understand it's hard because like money, it's easy to make another thing that's exactly the same as the previous thing, knowing that it will make money.
It's easy to make another title that's going to help you pay some bills. We get that.
But
totally get that.
You definitely need to make change at some point because it's going to, I mean, like the gaming industry as a whole has a distaste for freaking Call of Duty and stuff like that, but it still sells a lot because again, that's somebody out there that's all they ever play.
That's all they do. That's the only thing that people buy a PlayStation or an Xbox for. That's the only thing they buy it for.
But you can tell the message is getting out there because they're responding to those things finally. Like they're starting to realize like, hey, the boots on the ground messaging was there. Like these developers are starting to see it a little bit, but they just need to see it more.
Yeah, I think.
Well, it's like, do you listen to your core base who obviously just plays this one game all the time and loves everything about it? Or do you listen to a bigger audience? And I think sometimes that line is blurred too. It's like, oh, we'll listen to all these people but forget our core, or we'll listen to our core and forget everybody else.
Well, and sometimes I'm always happy that a company is like, we know that we are not for everyone, and our goal has never been to like, let's capture as many people as we can to play this one game. Bethesda's kind of been that way. But I think the important message to take away from something like this is, you know, if you are a development company and you have been in the game for quite a while and you've been putting out titles and titles and titles, that it's important to do. It's weird to say this. It's weird. You need to be able to do both of being cognizant of where you're at right now in your titles and your IP, and knowing when, as you say, you need to pivot, you need to evolve, you need to change things and freshen them up and liven them up to keep them enjoyable for everybody. But do not change so much and evolve so much that you forget where you came from and forget why it is that people came to this game in the first place, whether it was the story, the gameplay, whatever. Make sure you always remember where it is you came from and what your original message for that IP was.
Did you ever see the Bethesda Game Studios documentary by NoClip? It's really good. Check it out. It's pretty interesting. It's like, I do think Bethesda is one of the few companies that they could easily milk the hell out of like Fallout and Elder Scrolls and just call it a day.
What are you talking about? Skyrim.
Yeah, I know. But the fact that they are still taking the risk to develop Starfield and like bring out a new IP. That's
one even better is, let's look at the best video game company in existence, CD Projekt Red.
Yes.
And Cyberpunk.
That is pretty sweet. Yeah.
Cyberpunk.
I'm ready. Let's do it together.
Oh man, I'm gonna play the shit out of Cyberpunk. It's so good. So basically, moral of the story is Cyberpunk. All right.
That's pretty. I hope you all enjoyed that. Cyberpunk. That's not. We're not even saying anything to qualify what it. We're just saying Cyberpunk.
Just Cyberpunk. All right,
talk, guys. All right.
Yeah. All right.
So
end this thing.
If y'all have any feedback, comments, thoughts on games that you think should be pivoted in some form or fashion, things that examples you have of either those that have taken risks that we didn't mention here or those that have gone back to the basics and have been successful with it, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear some more input from everybody. And that's going to conclude our discussion topic this week. If there is a topic you want to hear us talk about, please let us know at hello@theinnergamer.net. Don't forget to check out our video clips of this segment every Thursday at youtube.com/theinnergamer. Also, if you donate $3 or more a month to Patreon, you can see the full video of this discussion topic each and every week. So go over to theinnergamer.net and click donate to contribute. Head on over to theinnergamer.net for a full podcast episode for our weekly game impressions and top headlines of the week.
That's one of me doing an interview. Here's one of all of us. We'll make some cool
things.
Brett's also right here.
Like this video, subscribe, keep up with all the latest video game news and opinions that you care about right here on The Inner Gamer.